The bandsaw, it's probably one of the most versatile tools in the workshop, especially in a small workshop, because it's got a small footprint, but it's got huge capabilities. Now I like them so much, I've got 3 of them in my small workshop. Only kidding. This one I'm keeping, this one I'm getting rid of, and this one is replacing this one. So this was the second bandsaw I ever bought, and it's been a great little machine. It's just a bit small for what I need now. I need something with bigger capabilities, more power. It's time to upgrade this one. I've only got a small workshop. It's about 3 meters wide by about 12 meters long. But for a long time now, I've had 2 bandsaws in the workshop. One with a wide blade, one with a narrow blade. If you're like me, you haven't got time to be changing over blades all the time. Now, I don't mind changing blades when they get dull, but if I'm doing a job and I need to rip something down and then I need to do a curve cut, I don't want to be changing that blade over. So I think it's important to have 2 bandsaws in the workshop, so you'll do the correct work with the correct blade. So if you've only got one bandsaw, I know a lot of people who won't change over the blade, so they end up doing a curve cut with a wide blade or a rip cut with a narrow blade, and it just doesn't work. So I like having 2, and they've only got a small footprint. They don't take up much space in the workshop, and I've got them on, this one's on casters, this one's on a mobile base, so I can just move them out the way and pull them out when I need them. Now when I was looking to upgrade that smaller bandsaw, I wanted something with similar capabilities as this one. I wanted one with the same size blade, so I didn't have to buy different size blades. I could just buy with the same length of blade and use them in the 2 machines. And I wanted something with similar cut capacities. So when I was looking, I found this one. Now this is the Clarke CBS350 by Machine Mart. When I was an apprentice at 16, I served my apprenticeship in Liverpool city centre, and on my bus route home there was a Machine Mart shop, so I was always in there buying stuff off them, and I know everything they sell is quality items. When they heard I was looking at buying this, they said they would provide one to me to check it out. Now I'm under no obligation to say good things or bad things. They've left it entirely up to me. I'm not getting paid by them, I'm not affiliated with them, so I will leave a link to their website in the description below, but I will not make any money from this at all. So you can be sure it's going to be an honest review. So this is the Clarke Woodworker CBS350. It's got a 1100 watt motor, 1 horsepower, and the blade speed is 800 meters per minute. This is a heavy machine and it's got a cast iron top, so it came on a pallet and it was heavy, but fortunately enough they dropped it right into the workshop. Now putting it together was a breeze. I didn't even bother filming it, I just done little snippets. The leg assembly, just a few bolts in there, 4 bolts to put the top on. Really simple, really easy. You don't even need the instructions, to be honest. And then when I did put it together, I put some locking casters on it just to make it nice and movable, so I can shove it up to the wall out the way when I need to use it. I can pull it out. If I need more length capacity, I can just wheel it down the workshop. So a little tip for you as well, when you're putting it together, leave it on the pallet. It just makes it so much easier to put the legs together. You don't have to prop it up or anything. Now when I unboxed this, the first thing that struck me was the size of the table. For this size bandsaw, this is a big table. It measures 544 millimeters by 514 millimeters, which is big for a bandsaw. And it came in handy at Christmas time when I was making a lot of reindeers. I just had loads of space. Let me run through some of the features of this saw. As I said, it's got a big cast iron table on it. The fence, it doesn't exactly glide, but it does what you need it to do, lock securely in place. And a good feature of this one is if you undo them, you can slide the fence back. So if you're using the mitre guide, and by the way, mitre guide storage, that's missing on a lot of bandsaws. That's a good feature. So if you're using the mitre guide, put down there, and there's not a lot of play in there, and it is a metal mitre guide. So if you're using the mitre guide to cut something, you can pull that fence back and use that as a stop, so you get repeatable cuts without anything getting bound up in the blade, which I think is a good feature of the fence. However, when you pull it back, it does cover up the scale. But to be honest, I've never ever used a scale on a bandsaw. I'm a bit old school, and I just use a tape measure. As you can see, that's a bit dull under there, but it does come with an LED light, which once you've got it positioned right, works really well. So first of all, I tried using it there, but then that cast a shadow of the blade. I realised if you have it behind the blade, it works a lot better. The fence can also be turned over for narrower stock, so that you can get the blade guard closer to your workpiece. Now the blade guard should be as close as practically possible to your workpiece, so there's minimal chance of getting your hand or your fingers under there. Now, as it says there, it's a 340mm bandsaw, so that means between the blade and the machine, it's got a cut capacity of just over 340mm. With the fence installed, you're just over 220mm, but it's still a good cut capacity. A good feature of this saw is that not only has it got a multi-step dust extraction port, so if you've only got a small extractor, you can fit it on. If you've got a larger extractor with 100mm capacity, that'll fit on as well. But if you don't have dust extraction, which isn't a good idea, but sometimes we all use machines without the dust extractor, it's got a dust drawer down the bottom, which is easy to take out and empty. So that's a good feature. If I'm just coming out here and doing one cut, generally I won't put the dust extraction on, and that's why there's a bit of dust in that drawer. There's a little window there for the blade tension indicator. And around the back there is a handle which takes the tension off the blade, which makes it quicker when you're changing the blade. While around the back there's a little tool holder there for the hex keys and the spanner. Now this thing has got an 1100 watt motor, which is actually more powerful than the industrial bandsaw I've got. So there's no doubt in the power of this thing. A safety feature which is a little bit annoying is normally this wheel here will open the door, but to open the door you've got to also unscrew this thing. So it is more safe, but it's a bit overkill, especially the length of the thread on this thing. And the same down here. So inside you've got balanced aluminium wheels. So if we undo this here, we can lift up the blade guard, and then under there we've got about 225mm cutting capacity. It's just under 9-inch, which is pretty decent. The problem with a lot of bandsaws is the adjustment of the roller bearings. Now, accessibility on a bandsaw is always quite difficult, especially underneath the table, but these are quite simple to adjust, quite easy to get to. So there's the adjustment to move the assembly in and out. and then around the back there is 2 hex screws, so you can move the bearings in and out. So it's very accessible up here. Down the bottom isn't quite as accessible, but it's still quite good. So under here you've got that hex screw there to move the assembly in and out. Then at the back you've got the 2 hex screws there to move the bearing guides either side. So it is very accessible under here for a bandsaw. While I'm here as well, the tilting tabletop has a rack and pinion. So undo the lever, and then that will tilt the top. And then it's got an adjustable stop to get the top back to 90 degrees. So I'm impressed with that. That's gone right to 45 degrees, and then there is an adjustable stop for the 45 degrees. Knock that back in. So when I said about assembly, there are 2 of the bolts that you had to put in, and around the front there's the other 2. Really simple to fix on. Changing the blade, this is a little bit disappointing, but not the end of the world. So the slot to get the blade out comes here, so you've got to take the fence guide off, which is simple but a little bit annoying. So under here you've got 4 thumb screws. Just undo them slightly. And then that pulls away in order to take the blade out. The cast iron top on this machine came with some kind of protective coating on it, so that's why it looks so scratched up. It's not the cast iron, it's whatever the protective coating is. Now I didn't bother to take this off because it's protecting the top. Eventually when it gets very scratched, I'll wipe it off, probably with white spirit or something, and then give it a coat of wax. I'm making it nice and smooth so the timber glides across it. So as I said before, it's got an 1100 watt induction motor, so it is really quiet. I've already got a video up on my channel of how to set up a bandsaw, change the blade and set up the fence properly. So I'm not going to go into that with this, but if you want to check out that video, I'll leave a link in the description below. This saw can take from a 6mm blade all the way up to a 20mm blade. So I've just took the 6mm blade off and I've put the 20mm blade on. And I've got a chunk of oak here, which is about 7.5 inches wide, which is about 190mm. So 190mm worth of solid oak. If it can cut through that, it can cut through most of the things. Now, I do buy good quality blades. It's always worth getting a good quality blade. It will last longer. I'll go into more detail in that in my other video, so be sure to check out that. So, dust extraction in. So how did the saw perform? Well, the capacities of it are great, similar to my other bandsaw, which is what I wanted. It's mainly going to be used with the 6mm blade for curved work and shaped work, so it's ideal for that. It went through 7.5-inch oak, no problem whatsoever, so the power of it is fantastic. All in all, it's a great bandsaw. So I'd say this is the ideal bandsaw for DIYers and professionals alike. Would I buy it? Yeah, I think I would. I'd go out and buy this. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you go out and buy one of these bandsaws. I'll leave a link in the description below to the website where you can get them. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.